All right, let's get into it. So I'm just going to write that I have a new idea. And let's see. So what is happening in the background right now is that the AI tool is essentially, it's going to show you over here, is essentially updating my Airtable with the new idea in terms of saving it. Plus, it's also creating new titles for me. So this is the exact same process you will do if you were to, let's say, make new titles in ChatGPT. But the difference is that right now it will save the winning title or the new idea inside my content planner, so I don't have to manually copy and paste that information multiple times over. That is like the biggest time saver in this case. And for me, at least, I do make a lot of new YouTube videos, and I have to copy paste a lot, so it saves me some time in terms of actually just writing here and then chatting with the bot and then getting titles like here, for example. So as you can see, I got 10 different titles, and then this is for rural North Carolina, but these are the ones we're probably gonna roll with. I built a duck farm in rural Norway, and then it gives me the length of the title, because more than 55 characters, it's gonna cut off the title on your YouTube video. But as you can see here, and then I might just go like, I like number 1. You can save that one. So and now, since I mentioned that, okay, number 1 is good, you can save that one. Or I could have told it that, you know what, can we maybe move around some things or try to change some things? And it will do all of that for me. So it's exactly the same thing as using ChatGPT. The difference here is that I have a connection to my Airtable base, and everything we're chatting about is updating that in real time for me, so I don't have to do that later on. It does take some time. I'm going to mention that because right now I'm using 5 mini, and the only reason I'm doing that is because I've noticed because I've noticed that some models don't use the tools. Even though you might tell them to use the tools, they don't use the tools. And you might have a very good system prompt and they will still not do what you're telling them. But as soon as I started using 5 mini, I noticed that it started using the tools right away. It will not skip using tools, which is the reason for why I'm using 5 mini. And this is essentially my content planner. And if I'm going to go down here, and the reason for why he actually did this is because I wrote twice, multiple times over, like that I have a new idea. But as you can see down here, my title is here. I built a duck farm in rural Norway, and this is just checking the length that is less than 55 characters, 55 in this case, if you want to be accurate. But as you can see, it saved the idea, it saved the title, and I didn't need to copy and paste all of that. All right, but if we're actually going to get into building this thing in real time, I can actually, before we go into building it, I'm going to do a step by step for this video. I'm just going to show you how it works. So we have the Telegram trigger over here, and it triggers on message. Once we have the message, it sends over the text prompt over here, and then I have the system message that has this flow in terms of how we should behave, which you're going to have access to. And at the bottom, I have like this strict JSON output format that you have to follow when outputting the data. And then, of course, as mentioned, I have 5 mini, some simple memory to remember the conversation, some Airtable node to update Airtable, and then search for records in case I want to ask about any record. And then we have Pinecone. And the reason for why I use Pinecone is because if there is any case whatsoever where I do not give any new title to remix, I have a title bank full of titles that I've found online that it can then go into and find different titles and use those to essentially come up with new titles. So I don't want the bot to really come up with its own ideas in terms of titles. I want it to use the titles I found and then come up with new ideas based on those frameworks. So that's why I use Pinecone in this case. And then I have this code node that essentially just parse the data and just put it so it looks nice. And then I send the message again as a Telegram message back to me. That's what it does. Let's start with building this thing. The first thing we can actually start with is the actual, I'm just going to turn this off, is the actual all Telegram bot. So I'm just going to assume that you already have Telegram right now, but maybe you don't actually have a bot yet. The way it works is that you essentially have to go to this bot fodder, and you're just gonna write new bot, and then it's just gonna ask you, what do you want to call the bot? YouTube title maker. And there are so many videos on how to do this, so maybe you already know how to do this, but yeah. And then I'm just gonna call it YouTube bot helper bot. It has to end with bot, and there we go. And then I got this token that I can use. But if I remember correctly, so all I need to really do is go in here to new Telegram bot, copy this code. I'm going to delete this after this video. And then I'm just going to save it. And there we go. And then I'm going to go back to this bot over here. And I'm just going to execute this step. And then I'm just going to write hello. Gonna do it again. And there you have the message. It says hello down here. And that's essentially how it works in terms of like setting up the Telegram. Once you have the Telegram, I'm just going to delete that quick. Once you have the Telegram bot, it's just about selecting the bot here, and that's pretty much it. Then we have the AI agent that is for the system prompt. For the system prompt, I will share it in this file, so you will have access to the entire prompt here that you can use copy and paste in here. So I'm not really going to go through it since you're going to have access to it. But the message itself, as you can see, hello, this is what I just wrote. It's going to have access to that. In the simple memory, we're going to add the phone number of that Telegram that you just received as the memory, so it remembers the conversation. And then, of course, we have Airtable. And with Airtable, you're going to have to do the same thing. You're going to have to get your access token, fill it out in here. I don't know why. It probably error because it's tried to use some data it's not supposed to do. But yeah, it's probably that one that is mine. Yeah, great. But yeah, you're essentially going to have to go to your Airtable base, and then I'm going to say this, there are a lot of videos on how to set this up. I'm not really going to do it right now, but there's so many videos. But once you're connected, all you really need to do is just pick whatever base you have and then the table. And then you want to map each column manually and pick the new idea or video idea. You can pick whatever like column to match on. I picked the idea because that is going to be a unique thing every single time. The idea is going to be different all the time. But you could, of course, do, I don't know, the record ID, or I even have a ID here, like content ID number that I could also use. So it's really up to you. But once that is set, I only update the winning title. And that's the only thing I update with this. So I don't really want it to have like access to my other columns at all in this case. And then we have a search, which is search is the same thing. We pick the same base, same table. And then if you want to filter for a column and that essentially row, I use the idea video curly brackets and then from AI. So the AI gets the data pretty much. I'm just going to remove that. And that's essentially how Airtable works in this case. And then we have Pinecone. Pinecone is pretty easy. It's just like we have access to YouTube titles here, description of it, and yeah, it just uses this to like get the titles. And embedding is small in this case that I use. This code node, same thing. I'm going to share that in the file as well so that you can easily just copy it and add it in here. But it just makes the text look nice. And if we go in here, I'm just going to, I don't know if this is going to work because I only said like hello, so it might not really have anything to do with that. But let's see. And then, but as you can see, it's like, and you notice pretty fast that it does some thinking here. And then we're just going to run that through the code, and we're just going to check here. And as you can see, the message is what it said, winning title, next actions, and conversation. And right now, since it does not really have any like new titles, there's not much. But if we, oh yeah, so for this to work, I had to pick the other one, but I just deleted it. So I'm just gonna go back to my own, which is over here. And as you can see, it messaged me here. What do you want to do? So that is essentially it. That's how the part works. And then the next thing that we got to do is actually uploading our data to Pinecone. And I'm just going to do a super simple walkthrough. I won't say that I'm the best at this, but I know how to at least upload the data and actually being able to retrieve it. But the way it works is essentially that you create a file. I don't think I'm going to have access because it's another in my other profile, but you're going to have a PDF, and this is a PDF with a bunch of data. Once you have that PDF, you're going to download that file as a binary. We can probably download it, yeah, as you can see here. Oh yeah, here it is. For example, we have this how to make effective thumbnails 2.0 bundle PDF, and this is essentially a PDF about how to make clickbaity, or not clickbaity thumbnails, but making click-worthy thumbnails, essentially. So once we have that, all we really need to do, and I have this loop because I want to loop through each item one by one and then upload them to Pinecone. And the way it's going to work is that it's going to send through these one by one and then upload them to my Pinecone. And to set up a Pinecone, all you really need to do is just go here, create new credentials, and then go to Pinecone. So for Pinecone, when you log in, or if you don't have an account, you're just going to create one. And this is the first thing you're going to see when you create an account. So I just create a new account just to show you. And you simply just need to copy that key, paste it here. And I'm just going to write my key like that. And then you're done. That is seriously it in terms of like setting it up. Of course, the next step then is to create an index, which is pretty easy as well. So let's say YouTube, and right now we had a bunch of thumbnails. So I'm just gonna YouTube thumbnails, and then I'm just gonna pick text embedding small. That's what I usually roll with. And then I'm gonna do 5012. I'm just gonna check here just to make sure that this is small. Yes. And we're just gonna do 5012. And we're gonna do AVS. I think for this model, I can only pick this because I'm on a free plan. As you can see, these are locked. And then I'm just gonna create that index. And then the index is being created. It goes pretty fast. Once the index is done, I go back here. And as you can see, it's here. And then you, of course, have to add these tools. But once all of that is done, all you really need to do now is use, and if we go to this one and I run this, so what is going to happen essentially is that it's going to essentially upload parts in chunks to that Pinecone database. Yeah, that's a problem. Let's see, add filter. Name. I'm just going to do this. If name is equal to, and then we're going to run that again. Vector dimension does not match. Let's see. So we're just gonna change it over to 5012. And then we're gonna run it again. Okay, so now we're done. I'm just gonna let that be part of the video. Doesn't really matter too much. All right, so here are all the PDF information that we just uploaded pretty much. And now what we can do is that, as you can see here, we can then, because the AI tool is now going to be able to retrieve that information now with Pinecone. And that is essentially how I managed to first upload it and then being able to use an AI again to retrieve it. And that's essentially it. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.